We're carrying on our video on missions and global philanthropy, and
we thought we would do a follow-up based off of our experiences and how missions in itself is not bad, but
we just want to be honest about what's happening.
Yeah.
So for the majority of short-term foreign missions, it's not for the people you're going to, it's for you. You know, you're often young, college age, and you're going out to go and change the world for 2 weeks or a month. Or how long were some of your trips?
Mine were only ever a week.
Okay, a week. And so you arrive in this place, and number one, you know, we're still in this place. You know, there's that classic Dunning-Kruger graph of like what you think you know, what you actually know. Like, I kind of feel like I'm still in the bottom trough of like, oh my gosh, everything I thought I knew, I don't know. Like, you know, you're a 20-year-old kid and you think you know everything. And you're going to these people who are a totally different culture, a totally different worldview, a totally different philosophy, totally different everything. And you're like, I am here to change the world, to save you. So in that 1 week that you're there, you're having a crazy
sensory
overload of like, oh my gosh, like the world is so different. And that's a wonderful thing to have. You know, it's a wonderful thing to travel and have your, what you think is real totally changed and be like, oh my gosh, like this is so different. And then to be able to come back to your place and be like, wow, like I have grown, I have changed, I have had my boundaries stretched, or I've had my ideas challenged. Now here's a huge problem. It happened for you, it happened for me, is like when you come back, these young impressionable people, instead of being encouraged to come back to your place and have the missionary heart to your people and your place, a lot of times it's preached that like, see, our people are so comfortable, our people are so spiritually dull and spiritually dead, and you come back with the resentment. You resent your people, you resent your church, you resent your
country,
your place, your country. I mean, that happened for you.
Yeah, it's very interesting because I had 2 different mission trips that I went on, and they were very polar opposite. The one was my first one I ever went to was Guatemala, and I to this day treasure that experience because it is a husband and wife from America, and they left everything. They left their family and they moved to Guatemala and not like physically adopted, but they took in 20 Guatemalan children, had their own children, and they lived amongst the Guatemalans, started a school, created employment for people there, and
all the things we're talking about, family and economy.
Yep. And they've done it. And so that was my first ever mission trip in college. And then I went there again the next year because I loved it so much. And I came back so grateful. I felt so connected with them because we were just with them all week, and it was amazing. But 3 months after that trip, I went down to Haiti because I feel like it's a thing. Like if you're a Christian in America, you need to go to Haiti. So my sister and I went, and I came back from Haiti. Well, one, it was not engaging with the Haitian culture because the mission base made us bring all of our own American food. So we brought white bread, lunch meat, iceberg lettuce, and like all of us got fat over the week. The week we were there, we came back fatter, puffier, heavier, and we didn't eat any of the Haitian food. We didn't even sit around the Haitians. The Americans sat inside while the Haitians that worked on the base ate outside. So I never really met any Haitians except for the people we were building a house for, which is ironic from what we talked about in our last video. But I remember when I came back to America, we flew back on 4th of July, which was hilarious because I was so angry. I was like, these people are just blowing money up in the air, and we just come from this poor place where no one has money, and I hate America. And I felt like I needed to stop wearing makeup because I was like, I can't spend money on makeup. That's a waste of money when these people have nothing. And I just came back so angry. And I also then came back with, how do I get back to Haiti? Like for the next 6 months, my sister and I were like, we need to get back to Haiti. That's our purpose. We need to get back there. We did not come back grateful. We did not come back thankful. We came back with a zealous anger, which I understand righteous anger because poverty should make you upset. But it's, again, the frame. We weren't the leaders could have framed it of like, now we're going to go back to America. Now, the odds of you guys living in Haiti and making a long-term difference there is slim to none. But what can you learn from this experience that you can now bring back to your home and change things in your life? That was not how it was framed.
Now, I would go up to Zimbabwe and into Mozambique for, a week-long or 2-week-long short-term mission. And, all of us young, university-age guys, and we're going up there to preach the gospel and stuff. And it's like, number one, we didn't know the language. We were preaching through interpreters. And it's like, here I was, some 20-year-old kid preaching out of Ephesians. And it's like,
to a bunch of older people.
To a bunch of old, old tribal dudes with 10 kids. And it's like, what do you know of their, life and, all this stuff, But anyway, it's like, you come back, it's you who's having the mission. Because it's like, it's actually a humility thing. It's like, oh my gosh, I went there so proud. I'm this young 20-year-old guy with fire for the Lord. And, I've got my life all together. But actually everyone else is paying for my life, but I've got my life all together, and I'm going to go teach some 60-year-old guy with 10 kids living in a hut in the mountains, about the Lord. And it's like, there's a bit of humility that had to be learnt in all of my trips. And so many of us young missionary zealous types, we don't have family and we don't have economy. And then we're going to a place where the whole purpose of mission is building families and economies. And so you have all this idealism and zealous, rage to change this place, which is full of poverty and full of violence, which is a good thing. Mm-hmm. And then when you come back to your Western civilization that has peace and prosperity, you should be like, wow, what made this? Why are these places so different? And a lot of people will be like, well, the worship of money and the, whatever stuff you want to get into of how evil it is. No, guys, peace and prosperity versus violence and poverty. The whole reason we have missionaries is because of violence and poverty. Mm-hmm. And our own lives back in the West are slowly trending toward violence and poverty. And so it's like, how can we come back to the West and prevent the slide into violence and poverty? Well, it starts in our family. It starts in our local economy. And it's not going to be going halfway across the world as some young guy who's asking other people for money. It's going to be playing the long game in your local area. It's going to be playing the long game with your family, and that's why it's so hard, because I don't like my neighbors. I don't like my hometown. I don't like my people I'm around. I don't like my family, or whatever it is. And
there's no glory in that.
And there's no glory because I can't Instagram hey, look at my sweet mission life. It's no, you're just a regular Joe Blow who has a job and a mission from God to see your world discipled, your nation discipled. Well, guess what? Your world and your nation is your family, your job, your local area. And we don't like that. And so we want to try and escape somewhere where the travel feels great and you can tell people you're a missionary and you can have great photos and other people pay for you and all that kind of stuff. So all of that to say, the biggest thing in all of this is family and local economy.
So send your kids on trips, but prepare them for what the purpose of those trips are. Let's not pretend like your 1-week mission trip is impacting the people in Haiti. It's for your benefit and for you to see what's happening in the world.
Yeah, and if it blesses their local economy, if they're making a little tourism business out of it, great for them. Yeah. So God bless you guys. Your local area is your most important mission. Your family is your most important mission. Absolutely, there is glory from the Lord in having, there's a classic, some saint or monk, he said, you'll know this quote better than I do, but it's preach the gospel, die, be forgotten. And it's at first you're whoa, bro. And it's no, that's a great thing. It's not for our glory, that we're going out to go and be glory missionary guys. It's no, there's a lot of hard life. You preach the gospel through your family. You preach the gospel through your local economy. And it's hard. And no one's going to know your name. And, anyway.
God bless you guys.
God bless you guys. Praise God. We're all going to make it.